important. So let's start out by how you two met. So you met at the gym. Dr. Will you take it from there?
We did. We met at the gym back in 2013. We moved here from Portland, Oregon. I had done my training down at Mayo and then moved out to Portland, Oregon for a couple of years. And we really miss Minnesota. I mean, the weather is the best. We couldn't wait to come back. Moved to St. Paul and joined the gym because I had the intention of finding a community gym where I could have my kids go and be taken care of while I did the elliptical. But when I joined this gym, they had a package of, hey, maybe get started with a personal trainer. And I decided to go ahead and go for it. In my own life, I had dealt with a lot of fatigue. I was working literally about 100 hours a week, and my own health was really suffering. So I was like, okay, apparently what I know is not enough. Let's actually just go ahead and break with this lie that I had told myself that personal trainers are for vanity or for athletes. Maybe they're for regular people too. So I went ahead and signed up and started working with Jason, and the rest is history.
Okay, so you approached him, you started thinking about this, and what did you approach him about? Was it strength training?
It was about strength training. So as you can probably tell by looking at Jason, he's into strength. Through working with him, I started to realize that building muscle really helps a lot of aspects of quality of life. So much so that I would train with him and feel better, and I would think, my patients need this. My patients come through the door every day and they say, I am fatigued, I can't sleep, I have pain, the list goes on. Multiple complaints that, yes, I have a pill that could maybe help with some of the side effects, but in reality, the common denominator is they needed to gain muscle. And so over many years of working with Jason, I was just realizing I need to find a way to get my patients to Jason.
Okay, so Jason, what did you think when she approached you and said, hey, let's work together on this strength training study?
I mean, this was such a fortunate interaction. I've got to meet her, at the start of it, I would have never envisioned any of this. It's general personal trainer client relationships. So to be asked to be a part of this was actually kind of incredible. It seems generic if you were to ask any trainer why they got into the business. Part of it would be to help people. And of course, that's very genuine, but to be able to do it on the scale and to be so much more significant than helping someone lose 10 pounds, which is great, and everyone has those goals, but to do it on the scale was quite awesome. So I was very honored to be asked to be a part of this.
Why did you think he was the right guy for the job?
So Jason is a scientist. He doesn't know this, but he is. He runs his own experiments, and I've known him for years now. He runs his own experiments on himself and his clients. He takes meticulous notes, and he learns from these experiences, and then he evolves and changes things. So he is so intense with what he does. I thought, he would have the detail-oriented nature that would be necessary to be a co-investigator in a clinical trial.
So you did this study, you did a pilot study. Tell us a little bit about the study and then what you found from it.
Well, the study was initially, we had 4 participants and 4 controls. And the point of the study was to see how we could change people's quality of life through strength training. I think one of the things that a lot of people lose, post-diagnosis or post-chemotherapy or post-transplant is their ability to just participate in these activities of daily living. Like, we take it for granted being able to go out to mow your lawn or to bring in the groceries, and part of it is accumulation of fatigue, part of it is the mindset that starts to happen after being confined to a room and through these treatments. So being able to take someone from the condition that they're in, which is a very deconditioned state, and how can we elevate them? Does adding muscle, does adding strength change what they feel on the outside, as well as kind of what we're seeing on the inside as well. So as Dr. Holtan had mentioned, there are so many tangible aspects to strength training, to exercise that benefit everything from internal physiology to mental state to even social support, which was a big part of the study as well. So.
And you mentioned the patient and then a control. So you had 2 people doing the same thing to see what the results were. Were there any surprises?
Yeah, very much. When we were designing this study, I take care of cancer patients, right? But then I also see the people who come along to the appointments. I notice the caregivers are there too. And their caregivers' lives have been altered markedly by the process as well. And I thought, one of the main barriers to helping our patients recover their strength is actually having a partner. And wouldn't it be nice to be able to actually involve the caregiver, because then they would get something out of this as well. So it reduced the barrier of having that safety net, having someone exercise with you. That enhanced the safety and also enhanced the enjoyability. It's really fun to be able to complain about your coach's program with someone. I mean, I complain about it in my head, but like if I can vent that to someone else.
She complains about it to me too.
Then you can actually, have fun with it. But then also I realized their lives have been changed. We can actually make an impact for them too. And this helps teach the whole family how they can heal. So one of the things that we noticed in our screening processes is one of our caregivers actually hadn't seen a physician in years, and we diagnosed her with diabetes. She had not seen a physician, had just been focusing on her husband's care, and understandably so, had neglected some of her own. So we diagnosed her with diabetes, not even pre-diabetes. This was the real deal. And I said, it's good that you're here. Honestly, the initial treatment would be diet and exercise, so let's do this. Let's see where we get. At the end of 10 weeks, she was no longer diabetic. So major. Yeah, so of course, the cancer patient going through the training, they had tremendous improvement in their quality of life, but this helped the whole family, and that was really impactful.
Did you see, Jason, barriers that you were able to help families overcome, some barriers who were dealing with recovery from chemotherapy?
So a lot of the barriers were kind of what I had initially mentioned there, and I'll share a story, I guess, about the same couple that she was talking about. Like one of the main things that had happened to him the year before this study was he really likes to hunt, and he went out into the woods and he fell over and he couldn't continue, and he had to come back and cancel the hunting trip. And after this study, he was able to go out and do that. So, seeing someone who was prevented from doing something that they loved, something that isn't even that hard, something that we would take for granted, right? So there were tons of barriers to these people starting out. Strength was low. Energy was really one of the main problems, which I think was really smart that we added that social support element to it. Getting people in there, that accountability, because these are people who do not feel like going to the gym. So that is a tough sell. You can preach about the benefits of it and say this will change your life, but we need to get them in the doors. So those were some of the barriers that I saw during the study. Initially we'd screen for some physical barriers, making sure they were healthy enough, their immune system was healthy enough, their bones were dense enough to do some of this. But everyone that we got in the study obviously had passed those metrics.
So we all know that good exercise and good nutrition is supposed to be good for us. So what is the difference of just hearing that advice versus groundbreaking research that you're doing?
Yeah, so anyone can go to the gym and exercise. And I think people, if they don't have some kind of framework for this, might fall into two camps. They might not exercise enough, or they might exercise too much, right? And so we all know people who could fall into either of these camps. What's really important about what we're doing is the exercise is dosed very carefully. I don't just make up the chemo doses I give people. I have guidelines and lots of different measurements that I use to come up with, okay, this is the right dose for you. It is always personalized. Exercise has to be that way too. So Jason is a master at dosing exercise. Do you want to explain a little bit more how you do that?
Yeah, it's really individual for each person, but the framework is kind of what we wanted to set up. We wanted to have very specific exercises. We picked particular exercises on these particular machines because they were in general much safer to start people on. We did an initial session with people to gauge where someone's individual strength is, because if I pulled 5 people from the audience here, even if they were, all males, all 200 pounds, you would see such a variation in their strength. And so I can't just do 3 sets of 10 at 100 pounds. For someone, that exercise is going to be dosed too low. They're going to get nothing out of that. For someone else, that might set them up for injury. So taking an individual approach to these people, we did 1 session with each of the couples, the pairs that we had in there, and then we started to do the group sessions. So making it personalized within this framework and giving them the guidelines that they needed on how to progress that. That's one other thing that a lot of people will miss in their exercise session. The standard kind of example is you come in and you do 60 minutes on the elliptical, whatever you do. That's just a time. You're not measuring anything. You don't improve that. Where if I wanted to take someone through a running program, it would be run at this pace for this amount of minutes. And so the strength training program was, okay, you are lifting 50 pounds, today for 3 sets. This next time that you come in, we want you to either do 11 reps if you did 10 before, or we're gonna add 5 pounds, and we'd give some professional guidance with that. But the goal was that people were challenging their body enough to, almost guarantee some of these improvements. So starting them at where they were at and giving them goals on where we want them to be.
And if I could just add to that briefly, so what he's able to do with his personalized prescriptions for everybody and how it modulates over time according to how they're making progress, led all of our participants, both the transplant recipients and the healthy controls, to double their strength and their work capacity in 10 weeks. So 200% increase in everybody. The transplant patients benefited just as much as the healthy controls. So that should take away any nihilism that they can't recover. They can if the exercise is dosed appropriately and very carefully monitored and then done in a fun setting with other people. So that reduces some major barriers, and we've seen how this can make progress. Now, to answer your question about how this is groundbreaking research, it's more than a program you can get on the internet. It is personalized. And with this pilot study, we've learned how to reduce the barriers and how we think this is going to work for a larger scale. But this is my long-term vision. How can we make exercise even better? So we want to reach more people. We want to help get more people engaged. But there are some ways that we, in the medical realm, might be able to improve upon this. So one of the concepts that we're treating here is inflammaging, accelerated aging.
You can say that word. I'll hold off on saying it again.
Inflammation plus accelerated aging. This happens in our transplant patients because of the treatments they go through. There are medications that are being developed at the University of Minnesota right now to directly address the issue of accelerated aging. So I can envision a clinical trial where we've got the baseline of exercise and people are going to benefit, right? So we know this. What if we can make it better? What if we can actually reduce their systemic inflammation and help their response to exercise even more? So I can envision a randomized trial where our patients come in, they get their exercise prescription, and they might take one of these medications designed to reduce inflammation and aging, or a placebo. And we see, can we actually completely go further than we could ever just with exercise alone? Because exercise is great, but it's still not going to solve every problem that our patients are going through. So can we enhance that somehow? That's kind of the next step that I would envision.
Incredible. So the research does not stop here. This is going to continue on for some time.
Yes, and this is an important baseline, right? So I think we know how to do this, but we can take this in a lot of different directions.
We're so glad you're doing this work. Can you give us a little demo?
Yeah!
So our patients, they worked out on machines, but I'll have Jason talk us through some things and I'll try.
So the initial protocol that we did was, as I mentioned, all on machines, and that was mainly done because it's extremely safe since you're kind of locked into a fixed range of motion, and it's easy to reproduce on your own. We did ask that people in this study exercise at least one other time per week on their own. So that made it simple for them. So we don't have those machines here for you today, but we will demonstrate a couple of the progressions. So this was also a kind of cool thing, was at least half the people, I would say, graduated from those machines. They became kind of too easy for them, so I had to give separate exercises for the people that really excelled here. So we'll demonstrate maybe 4 exercises for you here. We got my beautiful model here. She warmed up beforehand. So the first one was a goblet squat, and we picked this one because it works almost every single muscle in your body, lower body focused, but your core as well. And so this is textbook. She must have a really good trainer. And so we won't make her demonstrate all of them, but we wanted people to get up to 15 reps at whatever weight. So this is 30 pounds. So if she were able to do 3 sets of 15 reps, what we would do in her next session would be, we'd look for a 35-pound ball and go up from there. The second exercise, and again, this was a progression, would be a lunge. Can you demonstrate a couple lunges for us?
Bodyweight lunges?
Bodyweight lunges, yeah. There you go. And so this works core and glutes and balance. And so as you can see, that actually might be pretty tough for a lot of people. It takes a little bit of mobility, but also the balance. Yeah, if you just keep going.
Right back out to the elevator.
Yeah. Now this is going to be a little different here because it's with a ball, but we did teach people to do a Romanian deadlift. Can you do that with the ball? So interesting fact is that most people cannot do a proper hip hinge. Could you turn sideways? Yeah. Most people can just down, yeah, low if you can. Most people cannot do a proper hip hinge, which is part of the back pain epidemic we have here in America. So this is a more advanced move, and only one person kind of graduated to this one. A substitute for this would be doing hamstring curls on a machine, which is where we had initially started people. And the last one we will demonstrate for you here is a standing overhead press. You're of course going to have your abs very braced, right, so we don't arch our back. Yep. And so shoulders and core as well. People kind of don't attribute that to core, but most people would arch their back to get through that. So some of the other upper body moves we did was we had like a horizontal pushing movement. That's basically like your push-up or your bench press or your chest press machine. We had 2 moves for your upper back, some sort of pull down, some sort of row. And so that would hit basically, when we designed this protocol, every major muscle group in your body. And so that covers all of the muscles, but that also covers a lot of functional movement. You know, we move in various planes, whether it be pressing overhead or lunging. And so to be able to do that really would get us results both in the gym, but also outside the gym, because now we can move better and we're stronger. When she has to pick that up from the ground, she knows how to hip hinge. So hopefully you enjoyed that lovely demo there.
Thank you both for sharing your work and your passion, and thank you for the demonstration.
Yep.
We'll continue on. This really just shows how partnerships come together and how they truly make a difference in the community. The way this started was so organic, and then it came together, and look at what you've created now. So I hope that you've learned a lot tonight. I'd like to encourage you to grab another drink, have another bite, and come up and talk with them. Talk with them about their journey, why they're passionate, why they're at the University of Minnesota, or ask them what they do for fun. But really just get the conversation going, and please talk amongst yourselves too. This is the way things go, and this is the way we make a difference and make a change. And if any of you in this room know of anyone else who would like to partner with us or are interested in causes, yes?
I have a question. Continue.
Okay, I'll answer your question in just a moment. But you know, the cancer community is really powerful, and the work that they're doing is incredibly important. And so if you would like to make a gift or schedule a tour, or if you know other businesses that would like to be involved, please talk to one of the team members tonight. We invite you to join us on this journey to make things better and to continue the good research that you're doing. I would also like to invite you to take a tour of WCCO if you'd like to. We are meeting over at the bar after we're done with this. And think of next year. Next year there's going to be more events coming up in 2020. Well, this is the last one for this season. We'll start this up again in 2020, and we thank you for being here. So look forward to talking with you.